This Apple style text animation is so popular right now that even my nans ask me how to make it. In this video, you're going to learn how to create this directly inside of After Effects. And don't worry, it's not as difficult as it looks. Now that being said, if you don't want to faff around with any keyframing or spend the next 10 minutes learning all about the animation side of things, then I've created 7 individual drag and drop text presets for every variation of this Apple style text animation. So that will be in the top link of the description. Just download them. They are .ffx files. So you simply drag and drop them onto your text and voila. It is done for you. But without further ado, let's dive into After Effects and let's start building out this animation. So first things first, let's add some text to our composition. I'm just going to select the text button here, or you can go up to the top and click on text and then select the middle of your composition. Make sure it is center aligned to the frame. Now just add a few words into the composition. I would say just go maximum 3 or 4. Now, the first step to making this look on brand with Apple is choosing the correct font. So they love to use a font called SF Pro, which I think stands for San Francisco Pro, and we'll be choosing the semi-bold font weight. I'll put a link to the font in the description if you haven't got it on your computer already. So we've now got the text, it's in the middle of the frame, we've got the right font, and now let's animate it. So with the text layer selected, hit this drop down button here, and it'll reveal a button that says Animate. And we're going to click on Animate and we're going to select Position. If we go down to the position keyframes, we're going to adjust the y-axis, and that is the right-hand number here. So I'm going to change this number to 100, and that should shift your text down in the frame. And then select the Add button and select Opacity. Now come down to Opacity and we're going to change that to 0. You can either type in 0 or you can click and drag on the number to the left and that will reduce the number. Dragging to the right will increase the number. So now that is down to 0. If we click on the drop down button next to Range Selector, and then we're going to click Advanced, and it will give us options here on how we want the animation to look, whether we want it spaced out by the characters, so individual letters, or if we want to do it word by word. I'm going to show you both, but we'll start with the word option. So select words, set the shape to ramp up, set the ease high to -50, set the ease low to 100, and then making sure that our playhead is at the very beginning of the timeline, we will keyframe the offset to be -100. So we need to click the stopwatch icon. That will activate a keyframe, and we can set that to be -100. And then we will move the playhead along in the timeline and choose when we want the end of the animation to be. So if we've got 3 words on screen, then let's set it to be around 2 seconds, because that's how long it would take to say those 3 words. So now we've moved the playhead along to the 2-second mark, and you can see the duration on the top here. So I can see that I've lined it up around the 2-second mark, and then we can change this number to be +100. And because we checked the stopwatch icon, it will add a new keyframe where we made the change. So between 0 seconds and 2 seconds, the offset is going to change, and that is going to show us the animation from start to finish. So now if I bring the playhead back to the beginning and we press play, there we go. It is as easy as that. I remember when I used to start seeing people use this animation in their videos, and I was like, holy they have cracked the code. Like, this is next level smoothness. And don't get me wrong, I think to this day, this style of text animation is fantastic. I've been using it on all my videos recently, basically ever since I learned it, but you would be surprised at how easy it is to make, and also how customizable it is as well. Depending on how many words you've got in the frame is how far apart these keyframes want to be, because if they're really close together, the animation is going to be really, really fast, and it's not going to be natural for how people would say it if you're going to do a voiceover, or even the speed at what people will read at. Yeah, just kind of say the text out loud in your head as it comes through. Let that be the deciding factor on how far apart the keyframes need to be. Now, obviously that is looking fantastic, but that is where most people stop. But there's actually a few extra things that we can do to this to really, really take this to the next level. So first up, we can change the angle at which the text appears from in the frame. So by adjusting the number down here, which is the position, this is going to change the starting point of where the text is. So 100, it's going to start 100 underneath where the text is revealed. If we change this to -100, then the text actually starts higher up in the frame. And if we press play, it comes down from the top. So if we change the position from 100 to -100, it will change the direction from coming up from the bottom to coming down from the top. Now I know what you're thinking, yes, we can do that with the Yes, we can do that with the x-axis as well. Yes, that took me like 5 times to say it. So if we set the position to be 0, and by the way, we have not got the position keyframed here. We have just changing the number, but we do not have this stopwatch checked. Okay, so do not have the stopwatch checked. But if we go to the number on the left, that will change the x-axis starting point. So if I set this number to be -100, and I press play, there we go. So we've got the text coming in from the left. And yep, you guessed it. If we put it as +100, it will come in from the right. So you've got every angle you could possibly have. And this works really great if you've got loads of text back to back. As cool as this animation is, it can be boring if you just rinse and repeat the same effect over and over again. So changing the direction of which it comes in, changing whether it's word by word, letter by letter. So I'll show you that as well. So if we change it instead of based on words, we change it to characters, and then it will treat each letter as an individual sort of element, and it gives a really different look to the animation. Some other useful things you want to note is by having motion blur checked on all your layers, it's going to give that little extra bit of professionalism, and it's going to make it look a little bit more natural. So if I just zoom in here and show you the difference. So this is with motion blur on, and that's without motion blur. So we can see that by having it on, it just makes it a bit smoother on the eyes. Now there are 2 extra steps that we can do that are going to make your animations look even more premium. The first thing you can do is going between sentences, you can swap the colors of the text and the background. Right now, obviously the background is black from the composition. If we press U on our keyboard, we can see where the end of the animation is. Now on the keyboard, you can press Shift Command D on a MacBook, and this will split the layer. Okay, and we can delete the right-hand side of the layer because we don't need that anymore. The animation is done by that point. And now, but with this text layer selected, we can press Command D, and that will duplicate the text. And we can press U on our keyboard with the top layer selected, and that will show us the keyframes that we have. Just helps us kind of see where the animation is going to start and stop. We can drag this one up, find where the animation stops here, and we can bring this next one in, start at that point, and we can just make sure they don't overlap with each other. So if they do, let's get rid of 1 frame there, and we can see, yeah, very, very smooth between the 2. And we can change this next sentence. We can say, we've got sentence number 1, sentence number 2, and to keep this engaging, when this new text comes in, we can change the color of this text by selecting it and going up to the top and change it to black. And then in between these layers, we can add a shape layer. You can make it nice and big, and we can move the end of it across so it lines up with when the second sentence comes in. Now we've got Apple style text inside of After Effects. So we're still delivering the same information. You know, it's just a new sentence, it's a new set of words, but we're keeping it professional and on brand because, you know, it's very simple color palette. It's just black and white, keeping the same font, but by just swapping colors around, you kind of re-engage people if they just sat there looking at text. Different colored backgrounds, different colored text, the text coming in from different directions. These are all things that are going to be able to allow you to create a long but still engaging text animation. Now, my absolute last top tip, which is going to make your text look super, super premium, and that's by adding a gradient to it. So having your text layer selected, we are going to add a very subtle gradient by opening into our effects panel. Now I'm using FX Console, which is just a free plugin that allows you to search for effects instantly. You can just go over to your effects panel. If you can't find that, just go Windows, Effects and Presets, and it should pop up there. So with the layer selected, we can type in gradient ramp, and it's going to apply the gradient ramp effect. And we can see on the screen here, there are 2 dots that have been added. Now, one of these dots is going to be one half of the gradient, and the other dot is the other side of the gradient. So I can see here straight away, it's added the black to the top of the screen and the white to the bottom. I'm just going to swap those colors around because I want the white to be at the top. Now we can keep them as black and white, that's not a problem. And by dragging this dot down closer to the text, we're going to bring the white edge of it. We're going to bring the white edge of the gradient super, super close to the text because we want most of the text to be white. And we will just add a super, super subtle amount of black at the bottom. Maybe I'll do something even like that. And there we have it. So really, really subtle difference. I'll just toggle that on and off so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, that might not seem like it's making much of a difference, but when you see these super, super clean animation videos, most of the time it's the small details that maybe the average person misses, but you subconsciously clock in the back of your head, there's something about this that makes it feel a little bit more professional. Full transparency, I've just noticed I've had the spacing on this font at -30. A normal San Francisco font would look a bit more spaced out like that. And having that gradient really lends itself to the text coming in from the bottom, because as the text reveals itself, it almost has this kind of black gradient effect to it anyway. And just as I'm saying this, I've remembered one extra bonus tip, and this is the absolute last one, okay? And that is we can also add a blur effect to the text when it comes in. So have the layer selected, go down to add, select property, and click on the hidden button down the bottom here that says blur. And now this means we're going to turn this number up. So we're going to click on it and we're going to drag it to the right-hand side. That's going to turn the number up. Let's just try 40. And this means that at the beginning of the animation, the text will be blurred, and as it comes in, it will be unblurred. There we go. So 40, not bad. 40 does seem quite over the top. Let's just go for 10. Nice. And there we go. And we're getting this real 3D look. And there we have it. So I hope you found that interesting. It's not as difficult as it seems, obviously. It's just a case of spending a bit of time fiddling around with it the first time. But when you've got it locked in, you can just copy and paste the layers and rinse and repeat the effect as much as you want. 7 of these different animation styles, all is just drop and drag presets, and just super, super headache free, and just save you a hell of a lot of time. That'll be a link in the description and you can go check that out. Now also my plugin Quick Draw, I know I mentioned it briefly earlier. This is an absolute game changer when it comes to saving time in After Effects. Essentially, it is a panel of all the buttons that I wish existed when I started editing, and just save you 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there, and at the end of the day, I save myself a good 45 minutes of faffing around on After Effects. So if you're a video editor, you're using After Effects all the time, and you're fed up of pulling your hair out over keyframing and all that sort of stuff, then go check out Quick Draw. That'll be in the description, and it'll save you a lot of headaches in the future. That's all from me. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you have any recommendations for other tutorials you'd like to see, then please drop them in the description, and yeah, I will see you in the next one.